Hello everyone. In terms of the game, this month sucked, because most of what I worked on will not actually end up in the final game. But I have learned a lot, so I am here to explain it to you. So I'm going to start out by talking about the few things that failed, and then I'll talk about the one that mostly succeeded. So the first thing I did was make a new layout for the level select UI. I decided that I wanted to separate my levels into two types. Tutorial levels that don't have any leaderboards, and regular levels that have leaderboards and speed up over time. I designed the UI so each block of levels would be separated by the tutorial level that corresponds to them, and I also added a panel that shows up at the beginning of tutorial levels that describes how to chop a bamboo type, and will eventually have graphics displaying what buttons need to be pressed. Making this UI helped me realize that I want the main goal of my game to be unlocking levels rather than any type of achievement or leaderboard system, and since I think beating and unlocking levels would be the most fun part of the game, I think I need to make more bamboo types so I can then make more interesting levels. Since that's the case, this UI design isn't the best option because after the last tutorial level there will be a disproportionate amount of levels which will leave a lot of empty space in the leftmost column, and for now I'm leaving it, but in the future I plan to add a panel for level descriptions and leaderboards, so I'm gonna have to end up scrapping this whole thing and redoing it. The next thing I tried was to make the texture of the active bamboo on a stack stick out from the inactive ones, and it was really annoying to get to work and ended up not even liking it because I was able to tell which bamboo was first without it, and with it the majority of the stack is now just an uglier version of the normal texture, so I'm scrapping that as well. After that, I came up with an idea for a new bamboo type. It wasn't that complex, it was just a piece of bamboo that took 4 hits in the same direction to break, and I felt this was different enough from the gimmick behind the stack and wood bamboo because the purpose of this would be to throw off the fingers of the opposite hand. So, like for example, I think chopping a stack of bamboo in the left hand while chopping this new type in the right hand might be challenging to get it first. So it'd be more of like a physical thing that's hard to get rather than like a mental thing. For the model I decided to mimic the long bamboo I had created before, but instead face it perpendicular to the screen so it would be more work to cut through. The first problem I found was that a fade shader would not work well for the long bamboo because I cut the bamboo and then it fades out, but I figured since it would already be hitting the screen while it's being chopped, it shouldn't look too weird to just let it fly all the way off the screen without fading it. The problem I couldn't solve was that it was hard to tell the diagonal and horizontal bamboo apart from each other since they were the same height, coming to you from the same height at the screen. And this was something I had actually figured out before and then forgot about, so that was pretty cool. From here I have a few ideas for different models I could make that have the same gimmick as this bamboo type, but I'm going to give it some more time so I can make sure I choose the best option. So finally, the one thing I did, which I think will actually make it into the game, is create a new dynamite object. The gimmick for this is that you have to hit it at just the right time after a fuse is lit, so it tests reflexes. The first thing I learned while making this is that you need to have a bone associated with all of the vertices in the object being animated. In Blender I had only attached a bone to the part of the fuse that will get separated when chopped, but in Unity this just made the entire fuse move with the bone. But adding a second bone to keep the fuse attached to the dynamite sticks fixed this. I was originally going to use an alpha cutoff to burn the fuse, but I realized that there's no way to fade the fuse while having part of the fuse burnt down that way, so I made an animation that shrunk the fuse instead. It looked pretty noticeably bad up close, but you couldn't really tell from far away, so that was fine. The problem was with how the bones were handled in Blender compared to Unity. In Blender I could pause the burning animation at any point, and then activate the splitting animation, which just moves a single bone that is apparent to all the bones in the fuse. This would split the fuse while leaving the end of it that was burned at its proper length. However, apparently in Unity, you need to have each bone in the armature included in the keyframes of your animations, otherwise they just move back to their default position. This meant that whenever the fuse was cut, it would just switch back to its full length before being split apart. The only way I could see to fix this was to just create sub-animations for each section of the fuse being burnt and transition from those. I felt like there was probably a better solution to this, but it worked anyways. From here I need to make an explosion animation when the player doesn't hit it in time. I need to fix the katana animation so it actually cuts the fuse, And also the fuse's fire was hard to see against the background, so I'll probably just end up giving that a black outline. Also, the whole thing will make a lot more sense once I add sound effects so the player can hear when the fuse is lit. So from here, I need to fix up the mess I've created, and then hopefully I can come up with one more bamboo type for an even total of 10 different types, because I'm setting a goal now that I want the game to have 50 levels, and I'm really hoping that 10 different types will provide enough variety for me to do that. But until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.